The Copa America football tournament is taking place. The Brazilian Congress is drafting a series of bills to further develop extractivism in the country, a practice that damages the environment and harms local populations in rural areas of the country. Our team analyses the measures as well as the risks that the current football tournament represents as a profit-making mechanism in the following report.
Of the pandemic, Brazilian Environment Minister Ricardo Salles recommended to his peers that they take advantage of the media distraction created by COVID-19 to let other things slip by. The pandemic is now joined by a Copa America football tournament that monopolizes TV screens, but 700 indigenous people from 25 villages came from different regions of Brazil to Brazilia, where the atmosphere seems similar to that of an American Cup. On the Congress agenda are a series of bills considered to be the final sentence of the Bolsonaro government against indigenous peoples and the environment. In practice, Law 490 effectively wipes out demarcated indigenous lands by enabling the withdrawal of their territories, forced contact with voluntarily isolated peoples, and permission for the commercial exploitation of their lands. Bill 3729 puts an end to environmental licenses. It is considered the ultimate flexibilization of environmental laws, since it grants the right to self-permits by those who will commit social environmental crimes. Its rapporteur is a rural activist, Katia Abreu. A series of bills focused on the legalization of grab territories, which will hand over for private use between 60 and 65 million hectares of public lands that were illegally seized by the market. A parliamentary decree that abolishes the main consultation mechanism for indigenous peoples and traditional communities, and finally, a bill presented by Bolsonaro to allow mining, hydroelectric construction, and agribusiness activities on indigenous lands. The measures encourage the current incursions of illegal miners on Yanomami and Munduruku indigenous lands, whose representatives have had problems traveling to Brazilia, precisely because they were surrounded by armed invaders.
We have been experiencing invasions of indigenous lands for a long time, mainly on the Yanomami, Kayapo, and our Munduruku relatives' land. We know the environmental crimes and they are perpetrating, but the Brazilian authorities don't adopt the necessary measures to punish the people who are harming our Mother Earth.
While governors and mayors were busy rejecting the announcement of the Copa America in Brazil, those who agreed to host the event were Rio de Janeiro, Bolsonaro's stronghold, and a city that seeks visibility in order to resume the post-pandemic tourist flow, Brazilia, seat of the government, as well as the capitals of Guaiânia and Guaivia, the centers of agribusiness. The sector, which is one of the cornerstones of Bolsonaro's administration and has been denounced for social environmental crimes, went against economic trends during the pandemic and saw high profits due to a record harvest. However, in Brazil, more than half of the population is unable to get enough to eat adequately.
Brazil didn't have a record food harvest, but a record soybean and sugarcane harvest. But people don't live on soybeans, they don't only consume soybeans. And soybeans are not a sufficient ingredient for animal feed. People don't live off sugar, alcohol or cachaça either. They need many more things: rice, vegetables, potatoes, cassava, meat, eggs, milk, and all this was not stimulated by the erratic, mistaken and genocidal policy of the Bolsonaro administration. It stimulated the soybean that replaced these crops.
Indigenous peoples camped out in Brazilia, the city hosting the most football games, together with Rio de Janeiro.
Ignacio Lemus y Julia Nasif para teleSUR.